The early fan screenings took place yesterday. The review embargo has lifted, and right now, well, we have a little bit of an insight as to what people are taking away from James Gunn's very first cinematic endeavor with the rebooted DCU. And honestly, it's a very interesting response that we have seen so far. Okay, first and foremost, one Universal that I have seen so far is that Corenswet and Brosnahan are actually pretty good in their roles. So this already, okay, like there's two good performances in the film, and there's two likable characters to take out of a movie in 2025 and puts it head and shoulders above just about everything else that has come out so far this year. So I guess kudos to them on that. But as for the plotting and the dialogue, you know those rumors that we talked about earlier this year? Yeah, it looks like they're all true. So, oh boy, it's going to be interesting to see once we start to get some more substantive breakdowns and reviews, because this is merely the tip of the iceberg. This is the kickoff to what is appearing to be a very profitable weekend, even though we're here on Wednesday, for Warner Brothers once again, which, wow, when was the last time that they're going to end up with two of the top 5 grossing, probably top 3 grossing films of the year? God, it's been a long time. You probably have to go back to when The Dark Knight and Harry Potter were kicking and all systems go at the late 2000s. Anyways, but Superman, the first movie in James Gunn and Peter Safran's revamped DC universe to fly around the world to at least a $200 million opening weekend. That is a global opening weekend, and well, okay, that is incredibly impressive. So apparently a lot of people saying, even though I was not feeling this, but this was something that has been very prominent. Oh, I already have fatigue on this movie. Oh, I've been consuming all of the stuff that's been put out on social media. Whereas, like, yeah, it's been a deluge of content coming from James Gunn, from Warner Brothers, from DCU, and all of the fan and stan accounts out there reposting all of the clips. And well, there was a recent one that just came out yesterday with, you know, Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner, which makes me want to dry heave. So it's more that James Gunn quote unquote witty dialogue that I cannot stand at all whatsoever. But if you like that type of stuff, I guess this movie is really gonna hit for you. Yeah, I wanted this to be good. I really wanted to get excited, and hell, I was even tempted to go to the theater and watch it, but every time I see more about this, yeah, it's the less that I want to see it. But apparently, that's not the case with a lot of people, because for all of the people, yeah, like I was saying before we went on the tangent, there were too many people saying that, oh, I feel burnt out, oh my god, I feel like I've seen this movie already. Well, guess what? Apparently you're in the hyper minority on that one. Imagine that when you follow something lockstep for months and months on end, you're probably going to get burnt out on something if it's not really meshing with you. Big shock on that one, but okay. Take a look at some of the projections. What do we got? Superman, the first movie in Peter Safran and James Gunn's revamped DC Studios Phase 1, labeled, oh, I forgot about this. I forgot that they had little subtitles for all of the different phases. But aren't they called stages? Because Marvel does phases and whatever. But at that point in time, when all of that, you know, initial marketing came out a few years back, this second movie out was supposed to be The Authority, but now that one's been scrapped, and Supergirl was coming out second. Well, it was originally called Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, but now it's just Supergirl, kind of like how Superman was originally Superman Legacy. And it's so messy, man. Just make one good movie, okay? Go ahead and subvert my expectation in the best possible way and put out a good Superman movie. There's a lot riding on this movie as it tees up the tone and grand plans that the duo have assembled since Warner Brothers Discovery siloed to DC away from the main aorta Warner Brothers motion picture group, a la the setup of a Marvel at Disney. Oh my god, somebody gets paid by the amount of flowery language that they can cram into their article. But no, I have it on good authority that it doesn't matter if this film doesn't make $700 million, conspicuously a little bit more than Man of Steel. No, it doesn't have to be like an outright and overwhelming success. It doesn't need to recoup its budget to be successful. That's what James Gunn said. But James Gunn has said some very wonky things. A lot of things that people have also bid on, and I wasn't really that plussed. You can go and take a look at the video from yesterday to, back that up. oh, it's an immigrant story. It's like, well, no, Superman, if we want to get real technical about it, yeah, he's kind of a refugee, the last son of a dying planet, and he is a all-American farm boy in all but genealogy. He's the best possible case that you can put forward in the great debate between nature versus nurture. And like I said earlier, apparently that comes across with Corenswet's performance, which, fantastic. Love to see that. Even more amazing and audacious here. Gunn bet on himself, writing, directing, and producing the movie that lights the wick of the new era of DC, following the dark tone. Yes, the dark tone, the screaming, the crying, high contrast, low saturation, washed out garbage, mountains of skulls, Zod's snapped neck. Oh my god, yes. And yeah, Christopher Nolan, who Zack Snyder's kind of a retarded facsimile of Christopher Nolan, but then again, that's also Denis Villeneuve, or whatever the piss his name is. The future Bond director. God, that's gonna be so great. After a rapturous premiere in Hollywood on Monday night, and reviews this morning of, yes, 85% fresh, getting that lovely certified badge. But yeah, we'll get to that very shortly, because it has fluctuated. Actually started, and it was reported to be higher than 85%, but now as we sit at time of recording, it's a little bit higher than that, but we'll see here in a second, because we haven't got to the reviews quite yet. But studio sources tell us that Superman will see at least a $200 million global start at 60,000 screens over the weekend, split evenly between domestic and overseas, which is, well, that's kind of interesting. Okay, because in order for a film to really crack that billion mark, it kind of has to be disproportionately supported internationally. And if it's 50-50, yeah, this isn't no Black Panther anomaly, okay? This is, probably something that's going to land $500-600 million when it's all said and done. But we'll see. Okay, so stateside, they're hearing a pre-sales at about $20 million, ahead of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Okay, yeah, but behind Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Interesting. Some tracking firms and exhibitors' internal estimates believe that Superman flies to $115 to $130 million. Yeah, and that'll be interesting, okay? And where does that put it in comparison to Jurassic World Rebirth, the first of the big three to come out for last weekend? Well, last Wednesday, so this time last week, people were flocking to the theaters to just open up wide for the sludge pipe. Well, if the high-end estimates of 200 million ends up shaking out, kind of depending on how you look at this, either you take the 3-day weekend, you take the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or you take the first 3 days, or you take the highest 3 days, Superman outdoes Jurassic World, which is wild to think about. A couple months ago, I wouldn't have thought that was possible. But you can also see that Monday drop-off, and 60%. I kind of think word of mouth is really stifling Jurassic World's prospects, and I'll be interested, okay, because it's something that we're definitely going to be following. It is that time of year, after all, seeing what these movies do on their opening weekend, and then what the subsequent week provides them, and then what that second week drop-off looks like, because I could see Jurassic World falling totally off a cliff, because everybody's got this spectacle out of the way. They got their screenshots. They went, oh my god, can you still believe that, we're really excited about dinosaurs, even though the plot of that movie relies heavily on people not caring about dinosaurs anymore. It's a really dumb movie. Do not get that twisted. But in regards to Superman, like, from what I'm seeing so far, and it's just very early social media reactions, it's really, I haven't heard from anybody that I really respect so far. Like, a lot of responses that are either, hey, it's absolute dog shit. I've heard this secondhand from Jeremy John's review. Ostensibly just gets wrapped up as, yeah, if you like Marvel slop, this one's for you. It wasn't a glowing review, and it's one that I'll watch, because, okay, contrary to what I just said, I actually think, like, Jeremy John's is pretty good, and our tastes, even though I don't watch him regularly at all, but they seem to line up on quite a lot, so yeah, okay, shout out to him. There are other people out there saying that, oh no, it was really good, it's not woke, and it's like, okay, cool, if that's the first thing that you're going to jump to, it's the exact type of praise that I disregard whenever I hear, oh, okay, cool, something like Ironheart is great, because it's a very strong proponent of diversity and inclusion. I don't really care. I don't really care if it's, really comic booky. Tell me about the characters. Tell me about the performances. Tell me about the script. That's what I care about, and that's what people will care about long term, because if it looked good and it's big flashy and yeah, it reminds me of the things I seen in the funny papers, that'll last for a week, and then after that, it'll fucking fall off, and then you're just gonna get hit in the face with the consequence of your poor decisions, backing a lame horse, and here comes Supergirl, here comes the Authority, here comes fucking Sergeant Rock and Purple Tomato and whatever the other fucking goofy ass characters James wants to drag out of the depths of the DC back catalog. But for Superman reactions hit, James Gunn delivers a fun but flawed comic book adventure. And yeah, that's definitely like the AI summary. Okay, that's what I'm seeing so far. First reaction to James Gunn's Superman have hit social media, and the verdict is mixed, but mostly positive. Critics are calling the movie a colorful comic book style adventure packed with heart, humor, and action, though some note is that it's messy and overstuffed. Yeah, so exactly the response that you would have anticipated the reviewers giving it. Okay, many reviewers are highlighting how Superman embraces the optimism in the character, with some calling it the most comic book accurate live action Superman movie yet. I don't really care. David Corenswet is getting positive feedback as the new Man of Steel. Rachel Brosnahan's Lois Lane is also drawing praise, but something that I think a lot of people might be shocked by, but Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor's performance seems to be more divisive, with some unsure what to make of it. Yeah, people going, yeah, okay, like, you know, the one guy in the one casting that people were like, that could be pretty good. And it's like, yeah, Corenswet and Brosnahan, it's like, well, they definitely look the part. I don't really know how they're going to end up making it work. But yeah, in regards to Holt, like, people understand and they can look at his resume and go, you know, like, he pretty much brings it every time on screen. But this time around, he's kind of a non-factor. I think that kind of plays into the fact that there are so many fucking villains and there are so many adversaries in this movie that Lex just ends up getting lost in the shuffle. Critics say that the tone is light, earnest, and occasionally goofy. Great, a clear contrast from the darker, serious, dour, dire, pathetic, overly emotional Zack Snyder films. Several are comparing it to a live-action Saturday morning cartoon, or something straight out of Justice League Unlimited. I hear good things about that, but honestly, yeah, okay, so Rachel the Refrigerator Leishman over at the Mary Sue calls it a beacon of hope and praises its lightness and happiness. Lightness, something she hasn't been since middle school, and happiness, everything that she experiences whenever she hears the doorbell ring for her DoorDash order. Scott Menzel, okay, says it's a mess narratively and tonally, but finds, yes, positives in the performances. Joe Blow, okay, describes it as a mixed bag, saying Lois Lane and Clark Kent are shortchanged in favor of Superman action. Oh, God, so okay, I didn't even factor this in, so it's just going to be big slop battles. Fantastic stuff. But a 10-minute long dialogue scene in the middle where there's a big interview. Fantastic. Sean O'Connell, Jermaine Lucier, and Mike Ryan had a blast with the film's comic book energy and called it a joyful, fun ride. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that this is going to be just a fucking atrocious slop that's probably not going to be overwhelmingly offensive, but the moment that you just peer into what the script and you take a look at character motivations, and this thing's going to fall like a building in Zack Snyder's Metropolis. So looking at the Rotten Tomato scores, and let's just go ahead and see if, it's updated since then. But okay, so it's dropped down to 86 because it started the day, from what I was seeing, reported several different times over, was 90, debuted at 91. And then, yeah, it was at 87 when I first pulled it up. And now it's sitting here at 86. And depending on when you guys see this in the morning, it could be, something different from that. We don't even have like the top critics sussed out quite yet, because I would imagine that there's probably going to be, a lot of reviews dropping today, and yeah, I'll be interested. Okay, flies well enough, but it never quite soars, and it ends up getting a fresh tomato. God, Rotten Tomatoes is so trash. Okay, the establishing shot. It's shocking how so many of Gunn's ideas about the Man of Steel in his A New Take on Superman feel like they aren't guarding the property at all. So, okay, that kind of sounds like a source material argument, but he gives it 50%. Okay, I would wonder if this dude rated out of a 5 scale instead of a 4 scale, how that would have ended up working out for him. But anyways, okay. But okay, the film has its strengths, but a bloated pedestrian script lessens the story's emotional and comedic resonance. Sorry. Oh, okay. That's a little bit more substance. Okay, here's an 8 out of 10 from Maximum Hype, a YouTube channel. Oh, great, bro. It's totally like peak fire for real, for real. It's so great when Lex Luthor has his crash out because Superman can clap back, no cap, whatever. The DCU has liftoff in spectacular fashion as James gets done, has James Gunn has done it again, achieving wonder by balancing great character work with colorful, fun, pulpy action, acting, and a symbol of hope in subsequent entries in this new cinematic universe. I'm starting to see a through line when it comes to these early reviews, and yes, I'll be looking forward to more substantive breakdowns, but a lot of hope, a lot of praising Brosnahan and Corenswet, and a lot of James Gunn praise and derision. So I guess his marketing strategy of trying to take all of the slings and arrows might have ended up working out, might have ended up being for the betterment of this film. And honestly, it sucks, right? Because I want this film to be good. I want it to be really good, but I also want James Gunn and everybody who is responsible for the atrocious marketing of this film to face the consequence of their actions and just to see it fail too. So I don't know, man. They've talked me out of the theater by all of the clips and all of the marketing that they've done. A lot of the stuff that people have bit on in the past 24, 48 hours, doesn't really hit me the same way, but we'll have to see. We will have to see, because just to go ahead and really drive this home here, okay, that 86%, that is coming from the people who are from the access media, so you know that they are always going to try to bend over backwards for Warner Brothers and these big studios. So yeah, consider and factor that in. And then also the people going to the fan screenings are the ones who are more than likely the most enthusiastic about this, who are the motivated buyers to get in early. So I'll be looking forward to see what the normies have to say about this, what the lasting impact of this movie is going to be, how it's going to affect Jurassic World, and overall, if we're finally going to be in for a competently helmed DC universe. I hope, but hope is for idiots if 2025 has taught us anything. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Coswell. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.